There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
Hello, friends. I'm AJ.
And I'm Natalie.
And she's already laughing at me.
I'm just smiling in delight of being here on Wednesday night. Oh, that
Wednesday,
kind of rhymed.
It's Wednesday. Oh, I have a bouncy seat and didn't even know it. How could I not know this? I forget? This is fun.
I don't know if you've been that bouncy, but well, it's kind of one of those things.
I usually go back and forth.
Yes.
I actually am like
bouncing up and down.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wanderers Soul Wanderings Night on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I hope you're hanging out with us on live.kgradb.com or KGRA Digital Broadcasting Facebook and or Rumble pages.
There's so many choices.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good to see old visitors and new visitors. I love that. So, yeah, tonight, it's going to be so good. We're going to talk about some awesome things like consciousness. I'm a sucker for that kind of conversation.
All day,
what
every
about
day.
you?
Oh, yes.
I know the answer, but please share how you feel about that.
Consciousness? It's
the conversation on consciousness.
I'm looking forward to what we talk about as well as the guest on consciousness. I love learning different perspectives and different points of view.
Yes.
And it's like lovely to pick up little nuggets so we all have one perspective and we have to have all these different conversations. Well, we don't have to, but having all these different conversations, then we get expanding the perspective.
Yes.
And that's the lovely thing about being on the show is the opportunity to have
expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good, right? I really enjoy talking about consciousness. Everything that we are working on towards, etc., is all very conscious. We are doing
raising
the
work, awareness,
and raising the vibes, all the good vibes. Hey, tell us where you're hanging out with us. Make a little comment on the chat area, you're hanging out in, so we can say hello to you.
I noticed we are on X.
Okay, so Twitter, X. We are back on the X. Well, it was Twitter. I got away from it in 2020 when all of the propaganda was
crazy.
It got a little wild. And I was just like, not interested in this energy. Let's not participate. And I've just heard really good things about it since it's been rebranded and the censorship is gone. Not that I was doing anything for that, but I like people to say what they want to say. Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
And so we are back. Go follow us. We have very few followers. We're soul wanderings. And I do share things there. I have been for the week that we've been on there.
Good job.
Yay. Let's see how long this lasts.
Sustainable.
In fact, while we're hanging out, let me do a little little shout out.
Be like, hey, we're out on air. Come visit us.
You can, I don't know if we're getting streamed there live tonight or that's something that's going to happen.
Is that future opportunity to be streamed on X?
Chanel and I had a conversation. I don't think we finished the conversation, but yes, it is a possibility. Say cheese. I'll post that later. And then, that'll be another place for you to listen to us live. That'll be good. I'm excited about that. Really grateful for the opportunity. KGRA really is doing everything they can to keep us all connected and they do a really good job. Yeah, it looks like we are being streamed live. I just went and looked. So also go over to KGRA Digital Broadcasting, follow, whatever you do on X, and you'll see that we're there. Make sure you click the heart and make a comment.
Yes.
We want everyone to know we are here.
It helps the algorithms, doesn't it?
Algorithms.
You have to have activity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. Do it.
It's such a fascinating world, this
support
technological
the station,
world.
Support the show. Yeah. So
give
good.
us feedback.
Thanks to everyone who's saying hi in the chat rooms. We really, truly appreciate you guys. So good. So you and I were having a conversation earlier. I've been doing end of life studies. I really have amped that up a little bit. And this morning I was listening to Alan Watts. Beautiful.
Love me some Alan Watts. Oh.
Yeah. His big teacher of mine. Love him. If you guys don't know who Alan Watts is, please go and check him out. But I'm sure if you're listening to us, you know who Alan Watts is. Anyhows, we had a conversation about what I listened to earlier, you and I, when we ran into each other. Or I said anyhows. Anyways, I am such a Utah. I just realized that. Oh boy.
Keep going.
We had a conversation and I was sharing with you about this death lecture that he was talking about.
Death and dying.
Yeah, death and dying. And we could get into all of that. It is a long thing, so we won't. But you had brought up crystal consciousness.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, wait, what? I've never heard of crystal consciousness. And I thought maybe we could talk about it a little bit because we're going to be talking about consciousness tonight. It just kind of goes in with the theme, which no accidents, right? We had this conversation earlier and then,
So in my studies of human design and the form principle and all the science that's actually like human design is such a deep science. And the founder talked about there's this form principle. Well, within that framework, we have two crystals within us. We have a design crystal and a personality crystal, which is our consciousness. And so when I was talking about, I had not ever heard of the bardo, and I just know very little, so it's very surface for me. But it's this understanding that when we die, our body has to go through a particular lengthy process to then have our personality crystal, which is our crystal of consciousness, that actually rides around in our body. So we are passenger consciousness. Think about this. We have this body, which is our basically our spaceship. Think about this. So we're a spaceship. We are objects moving through space. We really don't even sit on anything. There's always a little bit of space between, on these chairs. We're just flying around here, going through space. So we're objects moving through space. And there's this crystal that's a passenger that's riding around and having a grand time in a body. So the body's the spaceship, and the crystal of consciousness is the passenger. And our passenger often wants to run the train, drive the train around. And so what I've really learned, and I've just really learned through understanding my design and navigating, that I've become a much better passenger. And the body is a much, much more adept at navigating this space and time and materium. The body knows what it's doing.
Yes.
And if we could just get out of the way. So it's fascinating understanding consciousness through that framework of going, okay, so there's consciousness. And I noticed this because I have a lot of mystical friends, and my mystical friends are like, hey, this is what we're doing in the ether. And I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing in the body.
That is very true. You are super grounded in the body.
It's like, it's a body experience, people.
Yeah.
Get into the body because the body is your spaceship.
Right. Yeah. And I have conflict with that as a human, right? And then as a soul, like knowing what we are. I want to be grounded in this human experience, right? I want to have the experience.
Yeah.
But also, I do go travel outside of this body quite often. And I've had an NDE and these other really magical experiences, which have shown me that we are more than this body. And I long for those experiences. But then I'm like, oh, hey, come back. You're meant to be here now. So there's like this teeter totter with me where can I have both?
Well, yes, and that's actually the essence of understanding
Right.
that we have this personality crystal that sits in this body, and it's held together with this illusion of separateness, but we're held together
Right.
with these two crystals. But then going back to the death and dying, when you die, your body has to go through a period, I guess, of essentially somewhat of a deterioration that releases the crystal, and it can go home.
See,
And so what I was telling you this
Mhm.
morning was that since we have modern handling of bodies, and I'm not one to say everybody needs to just change their thing. This was an interesting concept that resonated with me. That's like, if I do want my little personal crystal to go home and complete its incarnation completely, I probably would want to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And so that's an aspect of not. I was telling you that there's all these rogue personality crystals running around
Mhm.
that didn't properly go home. And it was an interesting concept to think, because sometimes the world seems chaotic with now us and our heart, our energy healing stuff. There seems to be some, rogue
Yeah.
energies out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, go home.
One of our past guests, she has a podcast called Rogue Ways. She
Oh,
gets really deep. In fact, I need to reach out to her. I
come
shouldn't
back.
say need, but I would like her to come back. That would be
Come back
really
and talk
awesome.
about these rogues.
Yeah, so good.
So that's what we were talking about, is that consciousness crystal.
Mhm.
So when I'm talking about consciousness, I view a lot of things differently than I did before I studied.
Mm.
The form principle and human design in itself, and navigating within my own framework. And so I see things differently, and I can see that it is actually really a mystical experience to be in this body and to be a
Definitely.
passenger.
Mm.
And you just sit back and go, fascinating.
Mhm.
Look what my body's doing. In fact, yesterday
Yeah.
I was having an amplification moment within my world. I just amplified some stress energy, and I'm like, look at me, I'm just going angry and slamming the door, and which is not my normal thing, but it was an amplified, it was not self kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I was
you were
like,
being
look at me
emotional.
go.
Yeah.
It was actually like stress, because there was this stress situation that was happening that was like so it's interesting to study these things and experiment with it and navigate through that.
Mm.
And so in consciousness, I find that there is something, when I think about like what monks, when I contemplate maybe what a monk's experience is, like Tibetan monks, or that where they really get into the body and they meditate a lot.
Mm.
And then there's this expansion that happens through the body through different meditations.
Mm.
So I don't know. I know my personal experience, but
Yeah.
fascinating all the ways that what is consciousness and how does it look, and
Right.
how we can be conscious in the body. How can you be conscious of one other thing that just popped? And I've been studying a lot about illness in the body
Mhm.
and attached to emotional causes. And so if you're paying attention to your body and you have this framework that says that when you're having a pain or some sort of illness, it's a reflection of just some emotional energy that needs to be released or healed. And that's a whole other like mystical thing. It's like the body's talking, the body is explaining. It's the body that is trying to get your attention
Mm. Yeah.
to get healed.
Yeah, and that's why they call it body talk.
Right?
Your body is communicating with you. Listener Charles said, be the conductor, not the engineer. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. He always has some things to say. I love it. Wise soul, that one.
Yes. So
I
what's your
just
view
thought
on consciousness?
uh,
Or what? You're like, well, we don't have a 2-hour show, so we.
I'm like, you really want me to wrap this up in 5 minutes? This is one of my favorite topics. I love that we all have our own thoughts and opinions on consciousness, right? There's a definition and we can follow that definition, but I feel like consciousness is so much bigger than a few sentences. And we are all at different levels of consciousness, and it looks different for every single one of us. And I love when people debate what consciousness is.
I'm right.
Like
No,
it's
you're right.
up for debate. The beautiful thing is it's not. It is whatever you decide to be. Yes, there's scientific proof of consciousness. There's spiritual proof of consciousness. And those are really great, right? We have validation. We have information in regards to consciousness. But like with anything, I like people to like ask themselves, like, what does it look like for me? What does it feel like for me? I don't like to put spirituality or consciousness or any of those vibrations in a box.
Oh, right.
It's just like when someone comes into our space, our center, and they're like, someone referred me to you who wants me to get this stone, this smudge, this whatever. And they told me I need to walk in a counterclockwise, blah, blah, blah. I need to tap my heels, blah, blah, blah. I need to X out windows and doors, blah, blah, blah. Like, when someone's telling you what to do with your spirituality or your level of consciousness or whatever else you believe in, that is religion. That is someone, that is man telling you what's up. Like, tune into your intuition, tune into your heart. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And trust that, because as we've always said, the answers are inside of us.
Oh, yes. You are your guru.
Yes, you are your own guru. And the beautiful thing is no one can tell you what consciousness is. If it doesn't resonate with you, what does it mean for you?
That's absolutely true. And there's quite something about learning that your cell, your body's like on the cellular structure, our cells are conscious. They're listening to us all the time. And,
yes.
And are you listening back to what your body's, but I find that a lot of times people come in and they're really so very disconnected. They've had different experiences. They've had conditioning where people have, they've just been trained in not trusting it. They've had some situations where they made some decisions that pulled them away from their nature. And then they're like, I can't trust myself because this didn't go well. And I often find if they can reinterpret the situations that their life that got them kind of discombobulated, then they can reconnect with themselves and then they can listen differently and they really can be a clearer guru for themselves.
Yeah. And also on that same line, like, why are you seeking answers from other people when it's such a personal thing where so many of us are looking outside of ourselves for answers, validation, just anything? And I get that. Like, we're all on our own search for whatever that looks like, right? But if we sit still with ourselves long enough, our intuition will give us a word, a song, a sentence, whatever that looks like.
That, my friends out there listening, is a powerful tip that she just said. It really does work if you sit and listen to yourself. But you have to, we've been conditioned. So think about, we send our littles
to seek
to
answers
school
outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
To trust
to school and say,
man.
that teacher's your authority. You need to listen to that teacher and you need to follow what you're instructed. And so we get trained in external authority And so when we come to healing ourselves and doctors, and we go to the doctor and the doctor tells us what's wrong with us, they sit with us for 10 minutes and they know our better body suddenly better than we do sometimes. So we're really, that's a conditioning that we get, especially in America or Western minds are saying like, and someone else is the authority over me. There is something to be said by having someone, because we can't see ourselves like visually. We have to look in a mirror to see ourselves. So there's sometimes to have someone that you trust that can feed you back some information. But ultimately, you've got to feel it within yourself and understand that you're the guru. And if their information resonates, use your critical thinking, use your discernment,
right,
and fill it out. And I love that you often will just let people say, here's what to do. Like, there's lots of things in this store and something will jump out at you. Go about, experiment, see if that happens.
Yeah. Well, I like to encourage people to listen to themselves.
Yes.
It's nice to listen to other people, right? You're looking for something outside of yourself. That's great. How do we find the tools or the little nuggets along our path without finding some truth in something that someone says?
Right.
I think we're all here doing our best and looking for whatever that answer is for ourselves. And we just can't do that alone. There are things that will resonate with us, like you said, that other people will share. And if it does, great. Add it to the toolbox, put it up on a shelf for later, however you want to do that. But I think it's very empowering when someone comes in and tells me what they're supposed to do, and I ask them how they feel about that. How does that make you feel when you've been told what to do? And they'll say, well, confused or uncertain or nervous. Well, those aren't emotions that are meant to be felt when you're doing this type of work, whatever they're coming in for, usually to clear the negative energy or whatever that is. And so we just get to shift that. We just get to shift that vibration and empower them to not be afraid of a crystal. It's not going to hurt you. And you don't have to go this way or that way or jump up and down and twinkle your nose or whatever it is to make your space feel better. That is all.
Sometimes you just need to, like, you could take a simple broom and just sweep, 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 sweep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all it takes. Open your front door. Let the energy out. It's not always something negative.
No.
So anyway, yes, consciousness. Let's talk about it. Let's be about it tonight with our guest who should be arriving any moment. We will continue the conversation with her, and that will be good because a new perspective, right? We love new perspectives.
Yeah.
And this is where you all get to take what you want or take what you want to put on the shelf or don't take it at all. But I like the new perspectives. I like the new energy. I like to see what everyone else is doing out in the world when it comes to this type of work. And she actually blends spirituality and science and technology all together.
Yeah,
which
very curious.
There's not very many people who do that.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
like the technology.
They're either like super spiritual, super technology, super sciencey, but far and few between are they more than one. But I like it when they are.
And I've heard that. It's like, well, this technology we have, that's God too. So that's a consciousness too. And we're learning about it, how it blends, or this lovely world that we live in.
The weave. Get to weave in and weave out. Weave there and weave there. Okay, yeah, good. Let's take a break. And when we get back, we will wander with our new guest. Stay close. Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings. I'm AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts of Wednesday Wandering Night. Soul Wanderings. I hope you're hanging out with us on live.kgra.com or KGRA Digital Broadcasting Facebook, Rumble, or X pages, because we're hanging out on all of those platforms, ready for some great conversation behind the scenes tonight with New Wanders and with us and our new guest. I'm so excited for tonight. What about you?
I am. Can't wait to hear.
Plus, girl power. Hello.
Right?
Let's have some divine feminine goodness up in this place tonight. We are hanging out with Zenka Caro, and she is the founder of LightNet, a collective intelligence think tank centered around consciousness. She is also an expert in spoon bending and ham radio contact with ETs and past loved ones.
That I'm very interested in.
Yes.
The ham radio contact.
Well, we're going to hear all about who she is, her journey,
and so much more,
and what she does out in this human experience world. Welcome, Zenka. We're happy to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Got this bubbly personality.
Yes.
I do, man. I have a lot of energy. I think I was just born that way.
Yeah. And correction on your last name. It's Caro, right?
Yeah. No big deal.
Okay,
I was typing as you were talking, so.
Yeah, no, that's great. We didn't get to chat before. So welcome. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah. Thanks. Coming in from Sedona. It's beautiful here. Too bad it's dark out because, for those who haven't been to Sedona, it's just so magical. So magical.
Yes. I've never been to Sedona. I've heard all about it. It's not too far from us. We're in Utah. So have you been, Natalie?
I have not.
Yeah.
I've been to close.
Yeah, there's lots of magical places similar to Sedona.
I was trying to remember it's Flagstaff. We chose Flagstaff instead of Sedona. We didn't really have a lot of time. We were just tripping on a day, so it was like, so that's close.
Now you have kin to come visit.
Yes. we keep getting told that it would be we need to come and visit.
We hit her up and say, okay, we're coming in. And she's like, okay.
There's a lot to do here. It's amazing.
Well, it sounds like you're in the right place for you and the type of work that you do. So that's beautiful that you've surrounded yourself in that type of energy where you're working in it, playing in it, living in it. Love that for you.
How long have you been in Sedona?
I have lived all over, went to school in Chicago, lived in New York, lived in San Francisco, lived in Los Angeles, lived in Argentina for 10 years, 12 years, came back, lived in LA. And then the pandemic happened and the beaches were closed and everything was closed and boarded up and tanks and everything and helicopters. And so it was either Mount Shasta or Sedona. So I think I've been here, 4 years now. So, but it's very galactic.
Mm-hmm.
They say that there is unlimited evolution here because people are so open-minded. So that's really what stops us from evolving as a species is like our someone was saying we're going through a crisis of belief. Like part of us is like, everything's going wrong. And then another part of us is like, yeah, well, this is what we could do. Do you think we could do it? And everybody's like, yeah. So it's like, it's like this weird crisis of belief. And so our belief in what our future could be is where we need to stand firmly. And I think that people in Sedona especially understand that things are energy. They understand that we're all in this together. They understand that we're ready to try new things. So it's been really great.
Yeah, I can't imagine living in a place like that where everyone is pretty much on the same page. There's so much division, right? There's so much going on in our communities and they all look different no matter where we're at in the world. But having everyone be on similar pages, just like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's work together. Let's use our energy together. I would imagine would be quite magical.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the work that we're set about right now in the world today is this idea of like, hey, wait a minute. If we are just one thing, if this if we can break our brains enough to understand that what I do affects you, what you do affects me, like we're all actually sink or swim together. We're all in this together, like we're all somehow reflections of each other, like not sure, all this stuff. So if that's actually true, then the people that bother you, sometimes the people that bother you most are are a part of you. Or so there's a part of us that is wanting to hoard things, or wanting to not to share, or wanting to be mad, or feeling hurt and wanting to scream. You know what I mean? It's like there's a part of us that want to feel protected. There's a part of us that want to feel free. There's a part, so it's all these parts of ourselves in a way. And I think the point now is to feel compassion for each other and to hold the line of where you're going in a solid way, and just hold the line. What are you creating? What are you living? What are you being? What are you inspiring in other people? Who do you want to do this with? It's another thing. Like, you don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to hang out with, who are your people? What is in your movie? People are always like, oh, this is happening. And I'm like, it's like, oh, saw the UFO and then the police came. I'm like, not my movie. Not my movie. That's not my movie. That's not the movie. Like, I've already been through that. I've already been through mega paranoia. I've already been through panic. I left my country. I mean, like, how much more panic can you get? About like the future, but that's not my movie anymore. So,
that feels empowering to me. I love that.
Empowering.
Do you have someone who wants to join in?
No, I was just
I'm kidding.
You're not on camera.
Yeah, I feel like I'm similar, where there are things going on and I'm just like, oop, that's not my timeline. Not going to participate in that. But I like the way you put it. It's more fun.
Yeah, and it's like, it's energy. So if you are, like they say, it's so cool, like how Ram Dass and all these people start putting their lyrics in Spotify songs and everything. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that about karma. Like you're like learning spirituality on TikTok and on, whatever. And one of the things he says is like, karma is only you holding on to energy. And so when something really bothers you, you haven't moved on. You're not free from that energy. It's going to keep showing up over and over and over and over and over until it doesn't bother you anymore. So it's that, like, I forgive. I mean, forgiveness is, it's like, I forgive and I don't have to like keep pulling this experience back to me, because the universe doesn't really understand love or hate. It's just, it knows that those emotions are strong, and it knows that it needs to feed you that stuff in order to grow. And so even if it's a negative emotion, it goes, oh, we got to do more of that. You know what I mean? Because that's where your growth is, So when you can calm yourself and move on through a series of like being witnessed or saying it or writing it or feeling, you know what I mean? You can't fake it either, but you can also just like declare that you're moving on. And Ram Dass says, like, once you move on and you go, sorry, this is my life, that's yours, let's part ways, like, let's not do this anymore, then you're free and you're on to other energy, and the universe can bring you other stuff.
Yes, it's so powerful. It really is more simple than we make it, right? Humans complicate everything.
Well, it's hard because you're in it.
Yeah.
You can't see it when you're in it because,
True.
You're feeling all the feelings. It's hard,
Yeah.
Hard.
Well, before we move on further, we're going to talk about consciousness, right? That's your jam. That's what you talk about. That's what you live. That's what you do. You have LightNet.org, which is your think tank that you've centered your life around. And so before we move further, we were talking about consciousness before you entered the show, like what it meant to us. What does it mean to you? What's your definition of consciousness, and what does it mean to you?
I didn't even know what it meant. And like, it's just such like, oh, this is like an elusive word. And like, why do we use something that's so hard to define? Like, it is very difficult to understand. And I think for me, consciousness is our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And, my mind is very scientific. And so Dean Radin from the Ions Institute wrote a book called Real Magic. And he says, consciousness is more fundamental than matter. And I have come to believe that. That's why we can do spoon bending and rice and all that and talking to ETs on the radio. It's you're actually causing everything around you to happen through your thoughts and your emotions. And it's all so we have to start realizing that. Because why do we know this? Because we've done experiments, and there's been 3,000 experiments done that have shown that your thoughts can affect the outcome of a situation, like the placebo effect. I don't even think that's in these 3,000 experiments. But so when we notice this clink in logic that we were never taught as children, and you're like, how is that even possible? That I can yell at rice and it rots, and I can say I love you and it doesn't. Like, how is this? And so if that is true, it's true. It is true in all instances. And so that's the elephant in the room. And that's what we can't understand. That's what we can't accept. And that's what we don't understand how to maneuver that. We don't know how to take responsibility for our energy. We don't know how to use it to create. We don't get it yet, because it's totally not logical. It's totally not what we were ever told, ever.
So I would say it's totally not mental. But if there's like if we wanted to process through our intellect, it's not intellectual,
right?
But it might be a form of logical, but not intellectual.
It's not, we're not able to understand. It's just like quantum physics. Like, it's very difficult to understand quantum physics.
Yeah, but it's easy difficult to observe.
But it's like, but your mind, but it is an intellectual thing in the sense that your subconscious mind creates your reality. That's what makes it so confusing, is because your conscious mind goes, I want to get that job. Like, why am I not getting it? It's because your subconscious mind doesn't think you deserve that job. And so you're not going to get it. And so your subconscious mind is a black box. And that's the like sad part about this. But the good part about it is that we now know how to reprogram our subconscious mind. We know how to heal ourselves. We know how to love ourselves into that healing process so that we can get that job. And you guys and me, we're part of this generation, this empowerment generation that was like, wait a minute, I'm a girl, but I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, not only can I vote, I can go to college and I can like win a Nobel Prize and I can become president. And I can do like that. That was not logical to us. And so it never really happened, and it was never really allowed. I mean, girls like never studied science because the teachers were like, no, let's call on Johnny. You know what I mean? Like when they do studies where you have to fill in your race before you take the test, people do really badly that are not white, because they're like, oh, their subconscious mind is going, this test is totally rigged. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do this. So it's like, we don't even realize that we're products of our generation. We're products of our astrology, which is horrifying. We're products of this math that we are. We're products of each other. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. And I got really fascinated by consciousness because I do think it's fundamental, and I do think it's time for us to step into lucid living, to magically step into magic. Lucid living is this idea like, okay, well, if I'm creating this somehow, then why don't I create a good dream? And why don't I create a magical dream even, and that's what's waiting for us in our lifetime. And that's why I'm so passionate about citizen science, and I'm so passionate about us understanding the logic behind magic and the logic behind our capabilities, because our belief in what we can create is really the only most important thing in creating anything, is your belief that you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you see us like collectively, like a majority of us at least, stepping into consciousness more? Like in our lifetimes, do you see us like really getting this and like shifting our realities?
Well, I do. Once you understand it, it's hard to go back. And yet we know from research that when you have that experience that you cannot explain, you saw the UFO, you talked to a dead person, they turned off the lights, you bent the spoon, like synchronicity slammed you in the face, and you're like, wait, this is like, what?
Yeah.
Those experiences, you often like snap back and you go, oh, that was nothing. Like I must have been this or that, just that was just random. So there is a snapback effect that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that we can reinforce each other and go, yeah, I saw the UFO too. Like that was crazy. You just bent a spoon and we have it on camera. Like what? Like, so the more you have community to support that shock of
Mm-hmm.
like, because a part of your brain is going, if I can bend a spoon with my mind, it's just like it's too much. It's like these people that do the plant medicine. It's like it's too confusing to think that there's whatever another world or wherever. It's just like, so it's a lot. But we have each other, and right now, you can't undo the process that's happening right now. We're evolving. We're becoming more mature. Like the world is getting better. And that's what I always knew to my core. And when I started reading, Peter Diamandis and all these books that were like, hey, statistically, things are actually getting better, but we walk around thinking the world is getting worse. It's like, it's not getting worse. Nothing about the world is getting worse. Women can do a lot of cool stuff that they couldn't do just 2 generations ago. You know what I mean? Like that. So of course it's getting better. It's getting better all the time because of shows like yours, because of YouTube, because of the internet. All this consciousness has been known and it's been hidden. Mystery schools and Masonic temples and, all this stuff is like, okay, we know this, but nobody else is going to know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going to, talk to ETs, but we're going to classify.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't whack-a-mole anymore. That's what is so cool. It's like, the internet has caused us to spill the emerald tablets on TikTok, you know what I mean? So it's like, the curiosity is there and it's going to happen and we're going to become curious about who we are and we're going to go to another level.
How did you personally start your journey into the consciousness realm and spoon bending and contacting ETs and all of that stuff that you do now?
Yeah. So I often talk about this. I was completely unconscious, normal person, technology, augmented reality, running tech companies. And some guy did Reiki on me and I didn't like standing up after dinner. And I was like, whatever you're doing is not working because I don't even know what this is and I don't even feel it. I wasn't lying down. He was just holding his hands in front of my stomach, It was just like, okay. And he was a master. And then the next day I woke up and he threw up everywhere twice. And I left my body for like 6 hours and I saw my life pass before me. And then I thought I died. And then I thought it was like floating off the air, the ground for 2 weeks and I couldn't eat stuff and I couldn't sleep and everything was synchronized, like every song. And I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? And then I went to dark night of the soul for like almost a year and like lived out my worst nightmare. It's like the universe gives you a magic wand and goes, we're going to tell you this all works. Here's the 111. You start seeing all the numbers and everything. And we're going to clean you out so you don't start creating bad stuff. And so they throw you as high as I went, that's how low I went. And I created my worst nightmares all over the place. And I was like, until I realized that I was the one creating everything and that I needed to take responsibility for my nightmare, I slowly crawled myself out of that and quit my job and said, I can't do augmented reality. I have to talk about the content of augmented reality. We got to talk about consciousness and we've got to, fix the education system. We got to start like your podcast, like we got to start talking about this. Like, I want to talk about this. And then gradually I was like, I do not believe in ETs. I was like, no. No. Past lives, no. ETs, no. Like, no. And I was just like, no, I can't believe I'm good. And then I just fell deeper and deeper into experiences that I was having that I couldn't deny. And I was actually attracted to the whole idea of the starseed, and we're actually renaming LightNet part of it to the Starseed Academy, the mystery school part. And I really like this idea of like, well, maybe we're not humans. Maybe there's like an Arcturian or a Sirian or a Palladian or an Andromedan that's running this body and that is bigger than I self-identify as this, like, just this girl Zenka, it's in tech, it's like, oh, what if I am this super cool Syrian or whatever that is here to do something important? It has suddenly made life like interesting. And then, a lot of the spiritual leaders that I was following, like behind hushed doors, they'd be like, oh yeah, he's Syrian, this, that, whatever. Like there was a lot of people who couldn't handle that level, but I want to know everything. I'm like, I want to know. So the fact that they were talking about that got me really curious. And I started to realize that the people that were most spiritual and most important in the world of that were behind closed doors, talking about how they were aliens, how they know aliens, how it is all, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, so that's where I focused my research. And I started to create experiences for myself and other people around spoon bending and around, contacting ETs. And that's where we are today, is like, let's pool our resources. Let's have these experiences. There's nothing special about anyone that bends a spoon. That's the funny part that I learned. I was like, oh, your chakras have to be aligned. You got to be an old soul. No.
So how did it come about for you, though? That's such a, just like out of the blue, like, I can bend spoons. Like, what was that journey like?
Okay, well, so that was during my dark night of the soul, and I ended up somehow on a webpage of Jack Houck, who's a famous scientist. He was an aeronautical scientist, and he had this picture of him with these bent spoons, and he was a scientist, so he had all these research papers, and he had died. He taught 16,000 people how to bend spoons.
Wow.
And I literally, the computer went into a tunnel. It was like, it's happened to me 3 times in my life where literally it was like I don't know, like a black hole, like a quantum tunnel. And it was like the universe was hitting me over the head with a frying pan, like, Zenka, this is part of your future. And so I read the instructions and I was like, wow, I lived in an apartment in LA, and it was like, you got to scream and yell and run over. And I was like, I can't scream and yell in my apartment with a minimum of 15 people. So I had to ask someone in my surrounding studio. I'm like, can I do a spoon bending at your house? Like, I didn't know anybody who was in any of this. Then I had to find someone that had bent a spoon, because the whole way it works is that one person bends and then another person, it's like an instant belief change that happens, like, shh. And so they were like, so I was like, I got to find someone who could bend. So I'm calling mystery schools in LA. They're like, we don't yell and scream. We meditate. And like, no. And then I go to this bookstore, the Mystic bookstore. I'm like, can you bend a spoon? And I was like, this is a weird question, and she was like, yes. And I was like, can you come to my spoon bending? She's like, yes. She cancels the day of.
Oh.
And I was like, and I'm at the park with my kid, burying him in sand up to his neck. You know how you do that? And out of the sand, I pull up a plastic spoon that's bent in half. And a guy walks by with a t-shirt that says, just do it. And I'm like, seriously? And
so signs everywhere.
Get to my friend's house, and there's only 13 people. And the instructions say 15. And I was like, oh, we can't do this. And she was like, okay, I'll call my mom and my dad. So some girl that was at the party called her mom and her dad. Her dad's a metallurgist, which is hilarious. Like, and he was the only one who didn't bend that night. So it was, I couldn't even sleep that night. It broke my brain completely. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And we just, like, Ariel and I just sat there. We're just like, what just happened? And then I was scared to do it again. And then I did it again. And then I was scared to do it again. And then I did it again. Now I just do it. It's like no big deal. Now, every time I go to a restaurant, the forks are already bent. And I brought them over here to the camera.
Oh my gosh.
My collection. So when I go to a restaurant, they're already bent. So if I go with 4 people, I open up and it's either my boyfriend or my napkin. I open it up and the fork's already bent.
Oh.
So it's like become an epic part of my life.
You're pre-bending.
Yeah, that is so crazy. I mean, when you're looking for signs, they will appear, right?
I would love for you to talk about that right now, because I think that's one of the things that I'm most fascinated by in the last 3 months. It's like, you can ask for a sign or you get signs. And I give a lot of animals and certain things meaning. So all my friends are different animals. I'm the green butterfly. I'm like, green butterflies don't even exist, when someone gave me that as my symbol. And then I start seeing them everywhere. And I'm like,
they very much
I
exist.
saw the real one. But anyway, what are the signs that you see? I'm curious.
Well, that's the cool thing, is you can interpret anything into a sign, right? So I think when you're open to acknowledging that there are signs everywhere, the more that you'll receive, right? It's like the great manifestation. I'm always seeing numbers, synchronicities. If I have a dream, then those things will happen through the day that validate the dream, or, the intuitive moment, or the songs, like all of these things that happen that validate what I'm experiencing, what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, what's in my meditation. Just like, hey, you're on the right path. And when I don't see the signs through the day, then I'm like, redirect. Because I feel like they are messages. I feel like we get them all of the time if we're open to it, right? Because people will see signs and be like, I haven't seen one single sign. I don't understand. Like, what's going on? Like, how come you're seeing signs and I'm not seeing signs? And I really think also it's a vibration thing, right? Just like you were talking about earlier. And so anything can be interpreted as signs, in my opinion. It's just, what are you open to receiving?
I think you're right. Because you can have someone, and this has been fascinating to me. So someone's, Adam Curry is a famous scientist in consciousness, and he believes that everything is meaning based. So if you don't give tarot cards or oracle decks meaning, then it doesn't speak to you, and
I believe that
get
too.
anything out of it. So if you don't believe, everything's random, I'm not going to see a sign today, you won't.
That's true.
It's true. You were going to say something really quick before we go to break.
Well, yeah, but I don't remember.
Okay,
we'll get back into a different flow.
We do need to take one commercial break, and then the next hour is completely all yours. We'll be right back, okay? Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back. We are AJ.
And I am Natalie.
I'm like, we are AJ and Natalie.
She's the royal we over there.
We, as in we.
Yes.
You and I. And we have an amazing goddess joining us tonight, Zenka Caro. Thank you for being here with us. We are live on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. We hope you are joining us there at live.kgradb.com. You can also be on KGRA Digital Broadcasting's Facebook, YouTube, or not YouTube anymore, Rumble, and X pages. We went away with the YouTube a while ago. Programming is deep with this one. 7 years of doing the show. Okay, no more YouTube. Okay, I'm a little blah blah blah. I need to ground myself. Natalie's the grounded one. I'm the one that floats around in the clouds. I'll bring myself back down.
So I have this is a body experience. This is what we're doing. I'm very human.
Okay, yes. So we're talking about consciousness tonight, and spoon bending, and communication with extraterrestrials and past loved ones. We're about to get going into that a little bit more, I would say. Yeah, because we haven't even talked about any of it.
I'm really curious about that. What do you do with the ham radio and the ET?
Yeah.
I do have my ham radio license.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, new fun fact I did not know about you, Natalie.
You did not know that.
This is good.
KG7WWW is my call sign on my ham radio. Now, that is not actually my, I have a very mind that is oriented towards understanding humans, not electronics, but I do have to say, I am very proud of my ability to pass the ham radio test.
I know it was not that easy. I mean, it wasn't, but I was studying. I was like, oh, these guys are like, we're rooting for you, man.
So I'm curious,
200 questions and answers, and then you get so it's, yeah. Well, so, It's interesting because so I had gotten in touch. There was a famous scientist called Jimmy Blanchett, and he had a massive radio tower that was 3 stories tall or more. And he started doing experiments by sending pictures, that you can convert into sounds. And he would say, hey, he puts sacred geometry and everything. He'd be like, hey, Andromedans, I want to see ships at this location at this time of night. And sure enough, they would show up.
What?
Dang.
And he started, then he started using ham radios as well. And he got these things that he called energy signatures. It was like beep, 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 beep. You know what I mean? And sometimes they'd be like super fast, sometimes slow. And he was using this very special number 144, which, the 144,000, it's a very interesting number. It's Planck length divided by 432, which 432 is the resonance of the entire Earth, right? It's a very, very critical resonance field. And, just like we're talking about everything's energy, it's all it's the harmonics of things together, right? And how does that work? And how do these dimensions work? And how do past loved ones and how do ETs, like, how can they see us? And how does this dimensional frequency actually work? Well, anyway, so he started doing these experiments, and in the beginning, he wasn't sharing the frequency number with many people. And I was in the early days doing it with him, and I would like sneak out of my house and I would go to the vortexes in Sedona, and I would like wait to talk to the ETs. And sure enough, they would do these, these things, and I would like print everything out. And I was like, this has got to be Morse code. And I would like go to all these code experts, and we would look at and couldn't figure out what they were saying. And then one day I was in the park, and I'll never forget, I had all my radios out, and I was like, okay, give me 4 beeps if you're Andromedan, 5 beeps if you're Sirian, 6 beeps if you're Palladian. And all of a sudden they were like, chick, 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 chick. And it was like this synchronistic, perfect thing. And I was like, it was like that Helen Keller moment. It was like, we have communication, like we have a code. And so then that code developed. I was like, that was insane. And we were laughing so hard and so excited. And then I'll never forget, these people came over to a party I was having, and they were with this dragon tribe. They were teaching Chinese people who felt kind of oppressed to release their mind in a consciousness way and also make contact with ETs. I think their name was like Area 1355 or something. Anyway, so I was like, I'm talking to these guys using multiple choice, and they're like, okay. And they came over, and we did it for half an hour straight, and they answered questions for half an hour. And what was so interesting, and one of the things I should explain, is that, I have over 20 radios now. People are always sending me radios, giving me radios. Like I bought, I had some, but they're all, so they're all on the same channel. Let me turn this down. Otherwise it's going to sound really bad. So I can say hello, right? They're all of these ones that I have are making that noise, right? It's just like the way I describe it to make it easy to understand is like, I'm in my car, I'm listening to 101, and I'm listening to Rihanna. And you're listening to Rihanna too, because you're on station 101. It's the same station, right? What's crazy about what happens with these radios is they all make different noises. So the ETs select different radios to communicate. And so they're breaking the laws of physics completely. And we don't even think that they're using electromagnetic fields. We actually think that they're messing with the circuitry of the device. So anyway, so we started asking them questions. And then more and more people start, and I used to be nervous to do it because I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do it. I wonder if it's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden they developed a code with me that is when they say beep, 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 when they do 3 beeps, it's like, okay, Zenka, go ahead, ask whatever question. So we'll be in a CE5 with 50 people and they'll go beep, beep, beep. And they can read my mind, which is bizarre, but they do say that ETs are telepathic. And so I think we all are to some extent, but we kind of have Tourette's, like, you know, if we could read each other's minds, we'd be like crying all the time because we're still not very mature, but like they can definitely read our minds. So I'm like, are you sure? And they're like, beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, are you positive? They're like, beep, beep, beep. Okay. So then the whole thing, you know, everyone started asking questions, and we've done this many times. And they'll actually teach us how to make better contact with them. You know, we'll be like, oh, do we have to raise our frequency? Oh, do we have to do this? Oh, do we have to like hum together? Oh, do we have to like, okay, this one just talked. Oh, I don't know if you saw that. And so anyway, this got epic level proportions. Not only were we asking them to show ships at certain nights for us, and they show ships using pictures like Jimmy had done, but this became epic because the format of my mystery school, LightNet, is soon to be Starseed Academy, was this idea that, you know, at this point nobody knows anything, and so the best like classroom situation is to have no teacher, to have like set out into some research like land, right? Uncharted waters, because if it's already been discovered, just read the book, you know, watch the YouTube, you know, or whatever, right? Like, let's go into uncharted territories together, and let's use our collective intelligence to come up with new research, right? And so that was the whole idea. And so we would get 8 to 12 people together to make ET contact, and we would do it through multiple different ways. Like Alan Steinfeld's doing it through remote viewing, and I was doing it through the radios, and someone else is doing it through, you know, I don't know, astral travel, whatever it was, C5, right? So we had all these different teams. We had 96% of the people make ET contact. And it was partially because you've got 7 other people or 10 other people in your team going, we want everyone to make contact, you know, by the end of the 8 weeks, like we all got to do this. So let's figure this out. You know, it's like necessity is the mother of invention. And so the teams kind of figured out. So for the radio team, the first thing was just, can we get all these new people into this, and can they get their radios to talk to them and all that stuff? And it worked, of course. Not of course, but it did, which we were happy about. And then we started getting bolder and bolder and bolder every semester. And it got to a point where I was like, I can't believe we're doing this. So the second semester, we asked for them to send us pictures, because we've been sending them pictures. And we go, we want to see pictures. And so I don't know if you know, but so we were like, we need to start taking the antenna and jacking it into our computers so we can actually visualize what they're sending to us. So we bought these antennas for $69. We randomly attracted some guy that used to be in the CIA. He was like 20 years retired or something like that, but he used to be specifically in signal processing. He's like, Zenka, you know, this stuff used to cost us $200,000 to do what you just did with your laptop and $60, you know, like we're just like, okay, but it was hard. It was hard to get the software going. It was hard to get everything installed. It was hard to figure out what was going. And that man had a massive breakthrough in the class. On 144, we started seeing a mirror image that was looking like faces and animals. It was like, we called it a totem. And it was not happening in any other frequency. It was as if the quantum world and the physical, like the quantum world and the Newtonian world were like stuck together. And we were freaking out. And he was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And so we basically did what we set out to do, and we got this. And I got it on my computer, so it wasn't just him. And it was just like, wow. And then the next semester, I go, I want to get voices through the radios. And I was giving a talk at Conscious Life Expo, packed house. All of a sudden, the lights turn off and on. And I was like, you guys, we got to go in our heart and think of what your dream is in your life. Like, what are you here for? Like, what do you want to do? And all of a sudden, a voice came through the radios because I had them all lined up. And I was like,
wow.
And I was like, this is so extraordinary. And then it happened again to another girl who was like a super channeler. So my class would like attract these like super geek people that are like, you know, computer everything, you know, and then also it would attract sometimes like channelers, you know, who don't know anything about anything. And they would be like, oh yeah, the ETs were just telling me we need to use the periodic table to get to this. I mean, crazy stuff. So it was a great meeting of the minds, you know? So this idea of putting 8 people together with a single random intention together to see how their collective intelligence produces miracles, that, because you would have never gotten that in the CIA. You would have not had a channeler woman in that. Really. So it's like, and we almost always had like half men, half women. It was fascinating. And when she heard the radio, like the voice come over it, she freaked out. And she called me and she's like, because right after that, we heard all these military, like massive military everything showing up.
I was going to ask about that if they made an appearance. If you're doing that much work with other life forms, I'm surprised that they wouldn't.
But then I had my epiphany about that. And I was like, hey, wait a minute, this is what's happening. I was like, that's not my movie. Partially because, you know, so I was like, because I was starting to add experiences together in my mind. And someone had just seen a massive ET, you know, a UFO in very close contact here. And they were like, oh yeah. And then the cops showed up and all this, you know, it's like always. So it was as if ET contact was followed by the Men in Black situation, right? It was like, and I was like, well, that makes logical sense because the universe is threading like and like. It's like, oh, well, that always goes together. Always goes together in the movies. It always goes together in our minds. It always goes together in our reality up until now because the ET thing was so mysterious and the like the Men in Black and all these people, they, you know, they knew about it and we didn't, and they didn't want us to know. And like, so it was just a natural thing. And I was like, you know what? That's not gonna happen anymore because I'm breaking that coupling of that story. I'm not putting those two, I'm not putting those two together in my world. And what's so beautiful and what's happening right now is you've got a lot of the people in the government risking their lives to get this information out. And the guy in my class was like, the retired guy, he was like, look, man, I wasn't allowed to learn anything about ETs while I was in because I confessed to them that I cared and I was curious about it. And so they didn't want me biased. So he's like, I was running an entire department and I was allowed to go to ET conferences, but I wasn't allowed to research Roswell like my other guys because I was technically biased because I came, he's like, but I never met more UFO enthusiasts aside from UFO conferences as I did in the CIA. So you've got a bunch of astronomers and CIA dudes and whoever else that are obsessed with Star Trek, ETs, UFOs, but they've got like a muggle on them and, you know, or whatever you call like a, you know, and so, but they want this. And so we all want it. And what's happened is kind of sad the way we haven't been able to know it. So the solution is in all of our hands, which is to create nonprofits like mine, to get out there, to do the CE5s, to get the data, to share what you know with other people, to share how to do it. You know, it's like you can buy this for $50 on Amazon. You want to get 2, right? So that you can see the phenomenon that they're, you know, it's 144101. So there you go. And you don't actually have to talk to them for them to, you don't have to press, you're not supposed to press the button until you have a license, right? But you don't have to press the button for them to talk to you at all, right? So
they just use the electronics, the radio. They come through the radio.
Natalie, it's time to play with yours.
What? I know.
It is. Connect and write to me and tell me how this happens.
Yes.
You guys.
I'm like, I have 1, but I'm going to have 2 now, which I know.
Get 2. Yeah,
like,
get 2. Yeah.
And same frequency. So you put it on the same 1144.
144 132.
Dot 101. I do dot 101. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you want to invite, so you want to mark them. So I have them marked like for different, you know, thing.
She's
Like I
color-coded.
asked if this was like a female. I thought this was like a female, like Andromeda. They're like, no, I'm not a female. I'm androgynous. I was like, oh, okay. Like we've asked them the funniest questions. They're like, I'm like, are you guys blue? And they're like, no. And I'm like, are you guys transparent? And they're like, yes. At least the ones that we were talking to this day. So we, with yes and no, you can get tons of information from them about their schools, about like everything. Like it's really like a cultural, like, romp in the like Renaissance that we're about to step into. And it's just so fun. It's just so fun. And just to wrap up, the third team, the last semester that we ran the class, we decided to ask the ETs to make music with us. We're like, well, if they can be on the radios, can they play theremin devices? Can they? And we found a guy that made phone apps to talk to ghosts. And we're like, can we use these to talk to ETs? And he was like, I have no idea.
Like a spirit box type of situation?
Yeah. So we'll use spirit boxes, but he actually uses the accelerometer, the temperature controls, and all sorts of other, he's like super genius guy. He actually died for 16 minutes, went to the other side, figured out how his tech works, changed his tech. I mean, fascinating guy. He said that when he died, he was like miniature. And when someone thought about them in their heart, he would go to them. And he's like, I would go to someone in Texas and someone somewhere else. Like, it was like, he's like, you could be anywhere. And he said he would be tiny. And then if he would raise his frequency, like really hard, like almost like running a marathon, he's like, it was really hard to keep it up. Then he would raise to the side, like to the correct size near them, So it's like, it made me think that maybe orbs are, piercing into this world, but that are other beings that are not quite at the same right frequency or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so he was fascinating. So the ETs were like quiet the first like 2 or 3 classes. And I was sitting there going, well, Zenka, you pushed it too far, like here we are, you got all these people in the class and nothing's happening. And so we're like, well, we should just serenade them. So we're these like geeks and whatever. And we started playing music for them. And they finally started playing back to us. And they were hilarious because they were like us. They didn't know how to play these things either. So their piano sounded like really creepy. And they're like, their guitar was like on and on and on and on. We're like, okay, you can stop now. And I was just like
were they mimicking what you were doing or creating their own?
No. They were doing their own thing. Like they were just, it just sounded like if you give us a non-musician, we did have musicians in the group, but like we had, a lot of us didn't know how to play anything. So we were just randomly playing stuff. That's how most of their music sounded. It was just, them clang well, they played the guitar pretty well on the guitar app, but then the piano sounded just like as if you're, like this, and it's like sounding not that like a little dissonant and stuff like that, It's so fun. So
I wonder if like our things, like our instruments are really elementary, like a little tiny baby piano that like a little baby would play. You're just like, in that spectrum. Yeah, because they're more advanced than we are. So there's a language. It's like feels like there would be this language barrier, and they're like, "What do you want us to do? Something that really elementary?
You want us to lower our vibration to communicate with you?
Okay, we're game."
Yeah. I think it really is like that, by the way.
I wonder what it is like on that other side if we were to be like a fly on the wall in that area.
They're like, we need this group of you to go and entertain these dense humans for a little while. Give them something to talk about.
They're like, oh, and then they draw straws and the short one goes, oh no, I didn't want the human gig today.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I do think you do need to raise your vibration and they need to lower it. So I think your supposition is right there. And I do think that they're masters of harmonics and music. And I mean, we're starting to realize that more and more. Like, you can cure PTSD with music, like that. Like, we're not even understanding what's possible.
And if they're masters, then if they blasted us with like 10th dimensional harmonics, we would probably fry. They're like, okay, let's get back down to the 3rd or 4th dimension. How do we make that on our computer things? So they're like, oh.
But I think there's a genuine curiosity. And I also believe that all of you guys listening out there, like, if you want to make ET contact, the best way to do that is to request it. Like, that's CE5, where it's a human initiated contact. So you ask for it, and you can always unask for it and say, stop. And you can always, like, it's not like, so you're kind of in control. And I feel like a lot of times, it's a mutual handshake, just like those old fax, things. So you kind of like ask for it, and then ask for signs like you were talking about earlier, and just let your curiosity guide you. And, to me, it feels really safe and really loving. I feel like what you're talking about, like, they are kind of beings that are much wiser than we are. So they're often like almost, they're like, okay, nurturing us.
Partners will help oversee. Yeah. We're like, you can't help where you are. We'll help you out.
You talked about other people being in the groups with you that had like other abilities, like they're able to remote view or they're channelers. What was that experience like, where you're working with technology and they're working more on the spiritual side of things?
Yeah, so it was like, I remember going into our light language class, and I took all the classes because I wanted to see what was happening in each class. And it's like the light language class, it's like, okay, first day of the class, and they're like, the teacher's like, okay, and we're all going to do light language today, and we're going to go around the room, and you each have and people were horrified. They were like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, one girl's like, I don't even know what light language is. And, because our whole thing at LightNet is like, we can teach anybody how to remote view. And so this girl was like, I don't want to do light language. I don't know what it is. And the teacher was like, okay, well, just like, we're going to just send you energy and just feel it. Just feel the energy. Just like, be silent. It doesn't matter. And then she was like, after we were sending energy to this girl, she was like, oh, do you think you could just make a tiny little sound? And she came out with this like guttural sound that just like rocked us to the core. And then she went on a little bit more, and then everyone started crying. And she was like, that was the most liberating sound I've ever made in my life. And that's the thing with light language. Light language is like music, but it's times 20, because it's a pure nonsensical. Your brain is not involved. Like we were talking about that at the beginning of the session, is like, your brain is not actually involved. It's just your body and your energy field and your feelings and your everything, and it's just like, it takes you to the core of whatever the thing is that the light language person is communicating. But yeah, so a lot of people, so to go back to your question, where you've got, people in my teams, half of which are super technical, like you hear the radio, so you can't deny that it happened. It's not like a channeling where someone's like, it's like you can hear it, like that's what I loved about the radio. It was good for like, the left brain people, but that's one thing that split the ET and the UFO worlds. You've got half of people wanting to be like, I want to see the UFO, I want to see the craft, I want to see the structure craft, I want to like whatever. And then you've got the other half saying, hey, this is consciousness. And the best way to connect with them is in your dream or like in your meditation or in telepathy. Like, so it's like, and those worlds don't like each other. The consciousness people are like, I don't care about the ships. Like, who cares? Like whatever, like this is much better. And the other guys are like, well, I don't get that because I've never had a dream, or I don't know what that is, telepathy. So, but one of the cool things we did with Alan Steinfeld, so he wrote the book Making Contact, and he's been dedicated to this his whole life. He has a TV show called New Realities, and it's like, he was like, we started remote viewing off planet. Okay. Like everyone else is remote viewing number targets. It's like, okay, what do you see at 5476? It's like, oh, I see a mountain, like whatever, it's like super boring. It's like, we're using our psychic energy to see if we can remote view someone's backyard, like, or someone like a painting on the wall. Like, who cares? Like, right? I'd rather find dead, murder victims or people that need help, or I'd rather see ETs or go off planet. So we started going off planet, and people started seeing the same thing. And that was mind blowing to me, because I was like, well, we could actually explore the cosmos, knowing that we're not a physical body somehow. Mm-hmm. We can leave our physical body somehow. And when we cooperate our data together in collective intelligence, we can start getting a better picture with 50 people that all went to Chiron or whatever, right? What's there? But we don't have that structure. We don't have that research in place. And the world is getting so complex at this point that your university professors in your classroom and your high school professors don't even know what's going on, because everything just changed. You know what I mean? Like, and so we've got to convert schools into research facilities and really use and get better organized with our data. And so off-planet remote viewing is fascinating.
What was the one thing that everyone was seeing?
Well, it was different ones. I mean, I sat in his class many times, I think 3 seasons, because I was just blown away by the fact that everyone could do it. It wasn't like, oh, there's some people in the class that could. Mm-hmm. We find, you got to get out of your thinking mind, but you just get into your gut, Mm-hmm. And we would go to different planets all the time, and they'd be like, oh yeah, this planet, there's more like the beings look like this, or it's more jungly, or it's more this. And there would be major similarities. And it got to be that every team we've launched since then has gotten more coherent. Mm-hmm. And I sat in on just the first class this last season, and it was the first day. And everybody, but I think 2 people got the target. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and it was an object, because he starts with the basic stuff, the objects and whatever. So it's like, almost like when you build a coherent field, again, with a shared intention, just like Lynn McTaggart's research, where she's healing someone with the power of 8 people focused on that healing, right? So it's almost like you're tying into each other's thing. So we would experience weird things in remote viewing too, where one person would get it wrong and other people would also get it wrong, because their brain was sending the wrong result. But then a lot of times it actually works together. Like, so I have a piece, you have a piece. It's like the whole elephant thing, I felt the leg, I felt the ear, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, so I think we haven't really explored collective intelligence in the way that I think we could. And that's what my life is dedicated to, building software to help us do that. And that's LightNet, is that we study how people do impossible things, spoon bending, ET contact, finding purpose, getting off drugs, whatever it is. We study how 100 people do it. And then we say, well, how did you do it? And we look for a pattern. And ET contact is about believing. It's about being open-minded. And it's also about intention.
Yeah. I think intention with anything, right? You've got to have the intention. But I got trained in remote viewing, and I've tried to remote view outside of our planet, but I have nothing around me to validate. Like, no one else is doing it with me. So I think it's really cool that you guys are having groups of people who are doing it, so you could share each other's experiences and see what the similarities are. You have to give me a group.
Oh, you're like, another class to sign up for. New education.
I love classes. They're so fun.
It is. Collective experiences are fun.
Yeah, the experience is the key, because sitting around in a classroom listening to some professor talk, not cool. No.
Yeah, not for people like us. No,
Yeah.
it's not. That's yawn fest for sure.
Yeah. So it's all like, I say, like, if your class isn't 45%, no, 75%, excuse me, experiential, then don't work with LightNet, because we want people to have something, because this is so unbelievable. We want people to have goosebumps. We want people to go, oh my gosh, I saw a ship, or oh my gosh, I got the target, or oh my gosh, we saw the same thing,
Yeah.
And now the remote viewing teams have been so like skilled that now like Alan wants to do an advanced team, and they get together after class and stuff like that. And we've threatened to like put together a database so we could really pile one team onto another team on the same planet that we're looking at, but we just haven't gotten organized enough to do that with all we have on our plate. But yeah.
Well, yeah, I know opening up an organization is so much work already, but it would be really neat if you had that database, like
Yep.
to even reference it, in the future, to be able to have be able to see the analytics across the board would be really cool.
Yeah, because you're a remote viewer, and so you could add data. Like we wouldn't show the data to you. We would just do the induction and say, here's where you're going. Like Alan actually takes you there, and he says, okay, now what do you see there? So we'd have that recorded, and then you would just write down your experience or film yourself doing the experience. Like, what did you see? And then you get to see all the others and what they saw. And so then you can see what the similarities are, right?
That's really cool. For those of you who are wondering about this LightNet, go and visit lightnet.org. This is a foundation that Zenka created. She's the founder of. It's a collective intelligence think tank that's centered around consciousness. And obviously, you're also assisting others in their healing and their growth opportunities as well, it sounds like.
Yeah, the weird part about the research that is done by the Edgar Mitchell Foundation, who did the largest scientific research on ET contact, 50% of people had miracle medical healings when they saw ETs.
Oh, wow.
50%. And I was scratching my head about that for so long. And I would have these theories, and I would ask people, is it because they raised their vibration so high? Is it because the ontological shock? Is it because and I ask you guys, what do you think? Why do you think that that's a high ratio? 50% of people who have an ET experience have a major medical healing for themselves or someone in their family.
See, and we don't hear about that part, right? Because one, they're not real. Two, when they are, we've been conditioned to believe that they are not here for our highest good, that they're not here to assist us. And so hearing that percentage actually quite shocks me. That's very high. And I don't know if I've ever heard of a story of someone being healed. So for me to respond,
from Marty, that was
Marty.
Our Marty.
Yeah.
Had,
my memory bank is not very large.
That's just the only. Recall. I haven't had a lot of conversations with people that had ET contact, but there is something that when you when it breaks the normal thing, then miracles happen. So I recently heard this that said a shift in perspective is a miracle. So that's a massive shift in perspective. And then illness becomes a different thing altogether when you know that there is so much more than just this mundane existence that we seem to be stuck in, mired in, like our American way, our television shows, our news cycle, all that. When you learn that there's just so much more, I would even that simple, but then there's different frequencies, the ability for the ETs to come and assist us. There's so many different reasons I could see that those that are ready can do
I
it.
want to hear about those stories.
Yeah, so I was frantically searching to try to pull it up for you, but there's been 2 books that they've released about, and they went to all these different countries. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people. And it's called the Edgar Mitchell Free Foundation. And one of them is called Beyond UFOs, the Science of Consciousness and Contact with Non-Human Intelligence. And Edgar Mitchell was an astronaut, and he came back and really, so it's called Beyond UFOs. And he really set up a foundation because he had a massive consciousness awakening. And so, and then they have since then published a second book. And they're more leaning into the consciousness aspect of this, so, we're, so it's incredible. Sometimes some of the more painful stories are the ones that carry, just like on the news. You're like, oh, I didn't know anything good happened today because all I saw was crap, something about
I don't even watch the news.
Live and experience and feel things has us, chattering about the more, the extreme stuff, whereas a lot of good stuff is happening too.
Oh, yeah. I feel like there are more good things happening than not good things happening. But if you are watching the news or any of the media platform, you're not seeing that and you're not experiencing it.
Right.
We just
there's that narrative, and there's so much that
there's
goes
a lot
into that.
going on.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the ETs more because it's just such a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
But also through your technology, you're able to speak with spirit as well.
Yes. So by the way, I did just find this this website. It's called agreaterreality.com. That's where this research is set up.
A greater reality.
.com. Cool. And I mean,
check it out.
Yeah. So this is serious academics going at this, not just fly by the night.
I'm an investigator.
Cool. You got Avi Loeb in Harvard too, like talking about ETs. So it's kind of all over at this point. Now there's actually mainstream. So, so when you say spirit, what are you talking about? Are you talking about past loved ones, ascended masters, God? What exactly?
Exactly. Any and all. All of it.
What are you going to talk to us about? Which one?
Soul. Yeah.
Right. Well, I have come to understand that we don't die, and that's been a weird thing for me to process as well. Because I was like, oh, it doesn't, you die. Like, what's the big deal? You like become dirt. Like, it's been great. Why did there need to be more? But so I've had a lot of experiences with contacting people on the other side, and they use the lights in my house to talk to me. It's so cool. And I've given them permission to do that. So that's cool too, right? So, and they will actually use the lights in my house, kind of like the radios work as well. And we can ask when they come on the radios, you can ask, are you an ET? Are you a past loved one? Are you this person? Are you that? So, but it's my understanding that, when you die, you actually don't die. You go into a realm where they can see us. And they can also decide, like they go into a rest period where they decide whether they're going to come back here to do it again. And so they're actually available if they're not off doing other things, because they're not all of them are sitting around watching us. They're actually have other lives and they're doing other things. Right. And so, but they're here to, you can talk to them and you can, you can have experiences with them. The whole idea with ascended masters was really hard for my logical brain to understand. Cause I'm like, well, how you're calling Archangel Michael and so's the other person. And they both think that they're talking to him. And like, how can he be in two places? And like, I don't really get this. And I've started to understand that a couple things. Number one, my belief is that we are all kind of descendants of those higher energies, those core archetypes, those core ascended masters. And so you might have a lineage. Like I love Melchizedek, it's like, he's an architect. I'm like, cool. I like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I have an affinity to his line. And whether or not the mathematics of my life are in part of, down the line. I mean, if you get your DNA studied, you can actually find out how much Neanderthal you have in your body, because the little lines that is your DNA contains at the very top these tiny lines of your mother's mother, all the way down from the beginning of time. You have DNA from the beginning of time in your body. Like, you have record of all the mothers that you ever were in your line. You can find out how much Neanderthal you have in you. I mean, this is like insane, right? So in some sense, we're all descendant of these energies. And some people are like, oh, I'm Mother Mary, or I'm this. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like you're that. And the other thing is that we can identify with the frequency that those people, those ascended masters were carrying. Were they healers? Were they warriors? Were they protectors? Like, and when you call on that, you're actually accessing that understanding and that energy, and that, because as a society, we all glom on to giving meaning to certain words or certain people or certain concepts. And so you're accessing the concept, you're accessing the beaten path that is that concept, whether you're using a word or you're talking about ascended master. So you can tie into that and with your energy, and you can receive that. And then the whole God thing, it's like, I was, my parents didn't believe in God. My grandmother believed in God. I didn't, I was kind of raised by her to be religious, but, I never went to church, like, except after I was lit, I don't know. It's like, I didn't really understand it. It didn't mean anything to me. And then I had all these experiences that I couldn't explain. And when I went to the mystery school, they're like, they called it God. And I was like, I can't call it God. I don't like I want to call it Elohim or something. And they're just like, and then they were just like, get over it. And I was like, okay. And so I was like, okay, God, I'll just call it God. And I don't care what anyone thinks. And I was like, that feels so weird. Sounds so weird. Oh my God. But then it's like, in the end, all of this goes into a single point of the highest of something. And so you might as well like call it something, call it source, call it God, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But there is a finite point to where this all goes. And you might as well go there. You might as well ask and talk to that point, that thing. And so I kind of got over that. And I kind of, but everyone has their own way of understanding this. And it's important to get out of your small self and to connect with the things that are bigger than you and connect with each other. Because, I was talking to a famous healer who's going to be on our YouTube on Friday, and she's fascinating. She can just pull out sickness out of someone and they're completely well the next day. I mean, it's the craziest thing. And she goes, I'm not a healer, Zenka. She's like, I don't heal people. She's like, that would be my ego getting in the way. If I told you I was a healer, that would be me as an ego. Like, she's like, I actually, like, almost like she was saying she dissolves herself into the all. And she was like, I just love them and create kind of an environment where they can heal themselves. And so I think that's what happens when you remote view. Mm-hmm. You stop being you. And I think that, remote viewing, for all those skeptics out there, is like you quiet your mind and you can see things that are halfway across the country. Well, how is that even possible? Backwards and forwards in time. But it's like proven. It's like in books, like it's done over and over again. So if that is true, what does that tell us about the nature of reality?
So much has been hidden from us.
That it's not Newtonian. It's not what we think. It's not what we're instructed in science class. Mm-hmm. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that. And I always say, like, I even at spoon betting, I show pictures of babies in diapers, and because that's where we're at.
Mhm.
In a way, I mean, the indigenous people had all this knowledge, but it got like lost. So now we're at the very beginning of understanding all this. And yet, I mean, how bizarre is it that you can meditate and learn things that you never knew without learning them? I mean, my whole thing was like, oh, you got to read it in a book. You got to study. You got to get it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can just close your eyes
Yeah.
and write a book or write. I mean, because that's like Grant Cameron, who studied contact modalities, said that like people would just write these bestseller hit or songs that were like multi-million-dollar songs just like in one take. They're channeling it from somewhere else. So what is that? And how do we get in there? How do we become
$1 million question?
knowledge? Yeah, and it's accessible to all of us. Everybody that has a body is able to get this, and I think that that's where our renaissance lies. That's our liberation. That's like the empowerment that I empower you, you empower someone else, they empower. It's like we've forgotten that we're all the same. There's nobody better than anyone else at all,
There's
and
no
we all have
separation.
access to that field.
Right.
We all have access.
That's the miracle of this all,
It is very true.
is remembering that we are the miracle. Yeah. We have the unlimited potential and power inside of us. And while there are powers that be that try to dim our light and allow a platform, a place for us to forget, it's just coming into a remembrance. Like, we are so much greater than we give ourselves credit for. And there's so much that we can be and see and accomplish and do and connect with all of these amazing beings. I just think it's so powerful what you're doing and empowering others to do the same. That is awesome. I love it.
And you just start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I say we start with what you started the whole show with, was everyone listening, just do this one thing. Ask for a sign. Ask for a sign.
Yeah. That
the universe is listening to you, that the universe can feel you. However you want to call it, that God can feel, that the universe, that your grandmother that's passed, that your sentiment, or what your guide or your ET, like something. Ask something if it can feel you, or that if you're, or just a sign about whatever it is you deeply want to know a question to, like, should you do this? Should you do that? What is the sign?
Yeah.
And then keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Well, and keep your heart open too. Yeah. So you're open to the possibility of even receiving the answers. I think our head gets in the way.
It's so true. It might be a sort of trivial thing, but I have learned to hear my animals. So my animals are like my kids, and I just know that I'll get this insight, and it's even in our language. It'd be like, yep, my cat told me blah, 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 this other thing. And my cat, I have a cat that's really old right now, and she's going through it, and she's like, I don't want, I just let me be. Let me just go through it. And I love that's happened over time, and it's just releasing this concept that animals can't talk, and that's like, no, they can connect.
Yeah. I feel like they can just like look right into our souls.
It's true.
Through all of your journeys and everything that you've been through up until this point, what has been your most memorable experience you've had, like the aha moment or the lesson or whatever that looks like? What has been your most awe-inspiring moment?
Well, I'll tell you about that, but before I do, I was looking for a sign that I saw today, so I want to tell you about it. So that healer, my son is 10 years old, and he's like, my mission in life is to fly. And I was like, okay, we have a levitation lab at LightNet that Coffee is the founder of, and she's interviewing people that have levitated, which sounds totally out there, but there's actually people who did it. And so it's like, I'm like, well, find 100 people and let's look at the pattern. Like, that's incredible, but let's actually back it up with interviewing 100 people, look for the pattern. That's how we do it, right? So she came over last night and she was talking about this African boy that can fly in a tribe that doesn't know better. Like they were completely isolated, you know what I mean? And she showed me the video and I was just sitting there, I was like, oh my God. And so this morning, sometimes you can see more signs getting off the beaten path of your life, right? So if you're always at home working and you never leave, like you might get a sign, and you will, but like if you get out of the beaten path, it's even better. You'll meet someone or something will happen, right? So I go to pick up a friend of mine and I never go to his place. And all of a sudden there was the sign of a past loved one, which is the yellow butterfly, and then a black child with, and I'll show a bigger picture, with wings and curly hair. Wow. And angel wings there with this very meaningful symbol, which is the yellow butterfly. And then I looked over, and right across the street is an owl, which is what was wisdom, right? It's my nonprofit is called the Wisdom Age Metaverse. So that's really significant to me. Another yellow butterfly. And then my boyfriend's a blue butterfly and I'm a green butterfly. And so it was all on the tree across from that. And so it's like, okay, it's that kind of thing that is so beautiful. And I think, so you asked about the most profound experiences I've had. Well, one of them I just really cherished because the first time they started using my porch light like they did the radios. So that was because they've turned off and on lights in my house. Again, it's so cool to have physical proof. It's not like, oh, I heard something in my head. It was like they're turning off and on the lights. And the fact that they started using the code, which is 1 beep is yes, 2 beeps is no, 3 beeps is clapping, 4 beeps is classic clapping. They started using the code and I would ask questions. I'm like, are you this person? It would be like, deep, deep, and I'm like, oh my God. And so it was like the fact that the radios weren't really necessary, like you guys said at the beginning, that they can use anything to communicate with us. And I think that was just like, I definitely cherished that moment for sure.
Yeah, I can see why you would. It's so neat to get the validation, not from an ego standpoint, but just to know what you're doing is like real and tangible, and you're not just hallucinating.
Yeah. It's
acting
just
a little crazy.
It's so fun.
It's so good.
Yeah, to communicate across dimensions. Like, what could be more new? What could be more fascinating? Like, what could be more enticing? I'm like, tell us what you know, you guys. Like, we want to collaborate.
And and that's the thing, right? Eventually, we would just love us all to be together, all collectively, and helping each other out, whatever that looks like. Like, I know even though we are a lower vibration and more dense, we still have so much to offer them as they do to us, and we could teach each other. And I really cannot wait for that till we're all just cohabitating and living as one, like you see on Star Wars, they're all just grooving together. Well, most of them, but you know what I mean.
It's happening. Like in our lifetime, you will be in the same room with someone that doesn't look like you at all. Like this is actually happening in your lifetime.
It's exciting.
And I can guarantee that. It's cool. It's going to be really fun.
I love that you said that. It just feels, I mean, either way, if it's in this lifetime or not, it's still going to happen, right? Because there is no death.
Yeah, that's right.
Just live on.
That's true.
Regardless, at some point, it will take place. And I'm really excited for that opportunity. I think it will be rad. So before we close, we only have a few more minutes. I want to make sure everyone knows how they can find you on the web, how they can interact with you. If they're in Sedona, how they can connect with you, et cetera, et cetera. So how can they do that?
Yeah, so we're going to be at Conscious Life Expo in LA in a couple of weeks. We're here in Sedona, and we do everything, so much stuff online. So really, people can be in Europe or wherever you are and interact with us. We have 72 events every year. So we have community hangouts. We have spoon bending every month. We're doing a workshop with Mary Rodwell on tomorrow night, who's like super famous, amazing ET contact person who's, and she's teaching us how to make contacts using scripts and languages. So we do experimental stuff. If you go to lightnet.org or starseedacademy.org, soon to be, but for right now, lightnet.org, just, join us. And we'd love to have you part of our community. You can go /join and check that out. We have an 8-week coaching program that's starting on Saturday that is empowering you to figure out what your mission is and your goals are, and to actually make a plan and do that. So we support each other to create our best life and to like feed our curiosity, just like your show is doing so well. And you can reach out to us at team@lightnet.org and find us on socials. So yeah.
Lots of places to find you. So good. It has been so much fun having you on the show. I have to say your energy is contagious.
Aww.
I'm going to be buzzing for a little while. Not going to bed anytime soon. It is. And your smile is contagious. You're just a beautiful soul. And I appreciate you so much for being here with us tonight.
Well, yeah, I love this, and I love meeting you guys, and I feel the same way. Thanks for, putting out, like it says on the promo, like the news that didn't get covered. Like, thanks for doing what you're doing. And you guys have beautiful personalities that play off of each other. And thanks for bringing on guests and talking about cool things. It's like really important. So
it
thanks.
is. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. We're
doing
in it to win it. Woohoo.
So good. So
All
good.
right, Wanderers, that wraps another Soul Wanderings night. And we are so grateful for all of you sharing your time and energy with us. So beautiful. We'll be back next week with a new guest. Until then, be good to yourself and be good to each other. Good night.
Have a good one.